Hi everyone, you're with Rick and Maureen from Hunterline in Cambridge, Ontario. We're on to session 4 of our build along for our 50-foot Queen Post covered bridge. Today we want to accomplish doing well, let's go back a step. Your homework should have included finishing off the bridge section, just like that. So what we want to do today is do the framing for the sidewalls and doing the planking on the boards and installing it on the side of the bridge that we just showed you. So Maureen's going to take you through the steps of building the wall. This is just exactly like framing a house.
Hi. First step, I guess, is just to get your drawing taped to your board with the masking tape and put wax paper over top. It's the framing template and side view. And then what I would suggest, we're not following along strictly as per our instructions just because of the way we have to film this, but what we're going to do is cut all the pieces of the lumber that you need for that wall. So you need your 1x12s for the planking, your 6x6s for the posts and the bottom and top sill, and your 3x6s to do the nail strapping. So I've already got one made here because you have to really let it set up before you start putting your planking on and make sure that it's really well glued. So I'm going to start first by just showing you how I cut these pieces. I took your 6x6s. We want to make the outer frame first. So I took the 6x6s and cut the length right to the end of your drawing on each side. So this one's already cut. Okay, so remember that you have to do 2 of those because you're making 2 walls, but I've already done that. And then you want to do your top sill, and you place that one right to the outside of that rafter.
That's important to go to the outside because the piece you're cutting right now is actually longer than the piece on the bottom because of the roof structure above it.
Yeah, so just go to the outside and give that a cut. Now if you've got the Ultimation slicer, it works great. You can do all your pieces for both walls very quickly using the slicer, but for this one I'm just going to show you using the razor saw. So I've got the top and bottom sill. Then you need to do your posts. So I already had one cut here. It's perfect. And I've got my other pieces that I need to cut. I'll show you. I've got it measured. I had my first piece measured on the slicer. If you don't have a slicer, it's okay. Just you just have to measure on your drawing. So I've got the one piece all set up, and I've got 3 pieces here. I need 4 total, just for this wall, 8 for both walls. And I can actually, I just want to put a little slice here, cut off the end, fit that in. Get my next one. This one needs a little trim at the end as well.
Well, there goes a finger.
There we go. Works great. Saves a lot of time, that's for sure. So I've got my four posts cut here. They will go in those spots. Then what I would suggest is cutting all your planking. So you need your 1x12s to do that. And I've already got mine all cut here. I used the slicer to do that, and boy, it sure saved a lot of time. But if not, you just have to take your 1x12s and place them on your drawing. get the first one cut, and then you can sort of just cut off of each one. So what you're doing here is you're placing it at the top of your top sill and going down to midpoint, which is,
Should be this one. See, they only go to this point.
oh, okay, I see.
So that
Gotcha.
this, from this to here, to the center of here, is the same distance
Right.
as from here to
Sorry,
the end.
yeah, not the top sill, sorry. The first, where you see the nail strapping there, is from the top
To the middle.
to the midpoint of that third nail strapping. You can use your razor saw or just use an X-Acto knife. So if you got once you get the first one cut, you just keep cutting them. Okay. And how they're going to go is they're going to be placed top of that first nail strapping, and then from the bottom sill right to the midpoint of that third strapping. And I'll show you how we glue those on later.
You need your strapping on there too.
Yeah.
Look at them all.
Yeah. And you also need to cut these little angle posts here.
There is a name for that, but geez, you think I can remember it?
Angle brace you have here on the
Not
drawing.
not a Corbello, but it's something like that.
So just put that on your drawing and cut right underneath that top sill. Okay. You can do this on the slicer as well. I already did most of mine. I did 5 of them, so I'm doing the 6th one. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And then you line it up with the vertical post and cut that in. So you need 6 of those. Well, 12 total, doing both walls. And then you need your nail strapping. Just kind of tuck all these pieces into nice little piles so you don't forget what belongs where. So the nail strapping, one goes along the bottom sill.
It's important here to notice that the length goes from one end to the other end.
Right to
Like
the
if you look at the
edge.
drawing, it sort of shows that they go in between the posts. They don't go on in between the posts. They go entirely on top. So it's one full length for each one.
So I just cut one, and then I'm going off of that one. You could use the slicer as well, but just to save time here, so I don't have to reset that slicer, I'm just doing it this way. And you need 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you need 10 total for 2 walls.
If they're a little longer or a little short, it doesn't really matter. If they're a little long, you can always file them down later.
I need one more here. Oops. Cut that off here. Here we go, we got 5 of them. Alright, so I think that's all the lumber you need to cut before you start gluing. So what I'm going to do is set this outside frame. So take your top sill, place it on the top of your drawing, and the bottom one. And I've got all my post here. Oops. Ready to go. Okay. Did I do all my posts?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And get your glue and do the outside post first, a little dab on each end. I think I probably have a little bit too much.
Once in a while we get asked, do you go from the left to the right or the right to the left? It kind of depends on if you're left-handed or right-handed. Usually a right-handed person will do just like what Maureen's doing. Start on the left side and work your way across to the right.
And
Just so that you're not constantly over something that's already starting to set up.
stick. So just get them set in there. If you've got a little excess glue, just take that off. And you want to stick something on there to hold it down. Got to get this straight. Use this as a weight and get this one set up here on the other side. Okay, and I'm going to use a couple bottles here to weight that down. So normally you would just let this set up, you know, good 10 minutes at least, and then you can start putting the rest of the vertical posts in there. They'll just sort of go in here.
It's just like doing the tie stringer assembly. You want the outside components to be rigid before you start doing all the additions to it.
Yeah. I'll just stick these posts in here just to show you. I just want to show you the nail strapping, how it goes on here. And where'd my other one go?
That one.
Oh, I got it all. That's perfect. Okay. The nail strapping, I'm just going to pretend that's all set up and glued. You need to put one all the way along the bottom sill. So you put that one in.
Those are strictly just strapping, just to hold the siding on.
You can see how much easier it would be if I had those posts set up and glued. But just to give you the idea here. Then the rest of the strapping, just follow your drawing. I just put a dab of glue on the vertical posts here. And you work your way up. Okay, so you'd be going just right to the top. I've got 2 more to do, and they would be going there. Okay, and that's what it should look like. And then let that really set up and dry. But I'm going to continue on with the wall that I've already got made and show you. Oh yeah, and the, sorry, the little angle braces here, forgot. You have to put those all along. So put a little dab of glue on each end. And attach them, one to the top sill, underside of the top sill, and the one side of the vertical post. So they will go all the way across, just like that. So I'm just going to move this. I know it's not set, I'll have to finish that later. And put this wall that's already set up in its place. So you can see I've got all the strapping down. I've started putting my boards on. And here's where you can get a little bit creative. You can break these boards, put some missing ones in. Several ways to do that. You can just take the board and you can twist it somewhere and pull.
That's called warping.
Is that called warping? And you'll have an edge that's you know, looks like it's been ripped away. You can also take a little snip if you want, a wire snip. Go at the bottom of them. You might not want to do this with all of them. It's quite a few that you have to do it with. But put little cuts in it. You can take a tweezer and pull some of those out So you have little notches. I don't know if you can see that. Leave some blanks off, whatever. But what we do is we start at the top. So you're starting at that first nail strapping, and I just put maybe a third of a way across. Start at the top and work your way down, and just start putting the planks on. You want to put it again so that it's pretty much touching the top of that sill and midpoint on that third row of nail strapping. Try and make sure they're vertical.
If they're gappy, don't worry about it because the real ones are gappy.
Yeah, it's okay to leave spaces. And if they're uneven at the top, that's okay too. If it's really noticeable, when it's all dried, you can just flip it over and trim them off with an X-Acto knife. Couldn't close my tweezers, I got a piece of wood stuck in there. Here I'm going to stick a board that I ripped in that place. Just scrape off any excess glue with your tweezers and just glue those boards along. Takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience.
You can be creative. You can already see the difference in the different shades of the planking.
Yeah, it was all done in light gray, but you know that each of the boards is from a different part of the tree, so it all comes out different. So I do a little bit and then I go to the bottom and put a row underneath it.
If they're a little bit too long, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I always take that off later. Here looks like a board that's been kind of ripped down the side. So I'm going to put that in and take out the glue in between the board here. Yeah, so just get a little creative.
And the bottom ones should line up pretty much with the top ones, because that's the way it would be in the new construction end of it.
Get in there. I think I'm going to leave a space here. I don't know, maybe a big tree came along under. This is over a waterfall.
Probably some kid went along and kicked it. So
I don't know. So I'm going to leave a space there. We lost it somehow anyway. There you go, so you can get the idea. Just get creative. And maybe you want it to be a brand new bridge and you want it with no spaces or no broken boards, and that's okay too. So then I would let that set up and dry, and I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing, show you what I do. So you want to get a paper towel and your cheap dollar brush. I would put my gloves on, and I'm going to dry brush I think a little bit of brown on here. I've got a medium brown, and I think I'll use that. And then I might show you, it'll probably show up a little bit better, some burn red.
this is what we call a highlight color. Like the base color was light gray, and now she's putting a medium brown on top of it.
So take your brush and just put it in the bottle.
This is not a process to make it a solid color.
And you
is
dab,
just to start to highlight it.
dab most of the stain off, and then just start adding a little bit of brown here and there, anywhere.
You always
Just-
go light to start with, and because you can always make it darker.
Yeah.
And there's no set rules. This is what your eye beholds.
Yeah, don't be too fussy, just,
And like afterwards, if you want to do more, you can.
I think you can see those colors popping out now.
Yep.
So there's the brown. You see that pretty good?
Yep.
I think I don't want to put red on this one. I'm going to leave it with just the brown.
See, I said before that a lot of this is mood artistry. Whatever Maureen's mood is, what she puts on it, and how much of it.
I don't feel like using red today, so I'm just going to put the brown on. And then what you can do, whatever color you choose, it doesn't matter. And you can put as many coats as you want on of different colors. There's no limit.
Why Maureen said red is a lot of these were red, or tungsten brown, I guess is the word. But we have all sorts of colors that you can use on this.
Right now I'm going to take my black, my creosote black, and dab off a lot of it, because what I want to do is put some shadows and maybe where the moisture might be on these bridges. So I'm going to take it and dry brush up from the bottom.
This is coming from knowing what these bridges look like. They always seem to be very deteriorated at the bottom. And the top is because of the overhang. It's a shadow. Now you can't see the shadow now until the roof gets on, but you can start to apply it now.
And you would see at the top too, it would be a little bit darker under the eaves, so I'm going to put some up there. This will dry a little bit lighter.
That's why we say you can always go back and add it later at any stage of the game.
Oh, I think that's looking good. I like that.
Looking good.
So that gives you a little bit of an idea how to add your colors. Okay?
Yep. Good.
All right. So then the next part is just attaching this wall to your bridge. So, where you're going to attach it,
And this is where all your end shims and your cords, when they're sticking out, this is what the wall structure sits on.
so you're going to put glue on the end shims, on the cord, top of the cords. Okay. Also along the vertical posts here on your bridge and across the top cord. You can do it there too. Well, actually, let me see. Put this on.
And they're not going to touch it.
Yeah, it's not going to touch it. So just at the top, if you just follow that vertical post right up to, wait a minute, follow that vertical post right up to the top of the cord, you'll make contact up there. Okay. The important thing is here is just to make sure that when you get that attached, that it's at a right angle.
And it's plumb.
Plumb, is that what you say? Yeah.
Plumb is up and down.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it's plumb. All right. All right, so let's do that. We'll get the glue on here. So on the top of the engine, cords. Can you see that? I don't. There, okay. Along the vertical post, right up to the top of the cord. Just put a line there. All right. And get your wall. And make sure those vertical posts line up and it's even on the ends. and it's making contact with your end shims. And I can turn it on this way, and just I'm going to check to see, whoops, that it is plumb. Looks good. There, I think that looks pretty good. My one end here is wanting to move outwards a little bit, so I'm just holding it here for a few minutes to keep it in.
Looks vertical to me.
Yeah, everything looks like it's in contact. So you just need to let that set up, and you're going to do the other wall the exact same way, because next week we're going to do the rafters and attach those. And trust me, you want this to be really set and dry before we get to that point.
So that means you have a lot of homework to
yeah.
do.
So I think that's it. Think so, Rick?
I think so.
Yeah.
Just the important part there is that wall is vertical and, or plumb, because that can make a big difference in all the rest of the steps. That's one of the things about building, is you got to be, the more accurate you are to start with, the more easier it is at the end to fit stuff. So yes, get the two walls on there and let them set up for next session.
Yep.
And hey, it's starting to look really good.
Yeah. That looks
And it's
good.
not that complicated of a thing so far.
Yeah, it looks great.
Looking good, guys.
Thank you.
So we'll see you next week. Enjoy.
Thanks.